Holy fuck.
But perhaps I can give him justice.
Hello folks, Charlie Westeros back again with another Game of Thrones review, and today I'll be talking about the finale for Season 6, Episode 10, entitled Winds of Winter. And you might have noticed that things are going a little bit differently already, because I am not using any script, teleprompter, none of that. I am just giving you my raw, genuine emotions after watching this episode, just to see how things go in comparison to past reviews. That said, I do have a Season 7 predictions video coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. But until then, let's dig right into this episode, starting with events in the North. So obviously events in the North, just as almost every other location, this episode was intense. Now that she has been banned from the North, I do wonder where Melisandre is going to be venturing off to next. Would she be able to support Daenerys? Could she potentially assist Arya reunited with the Hound at some point in time? Maybe in looking for Gendry? I don't know. I have no idea where else she could go, but that's the one thing I'm going off of, considering she did tell Arya that she would see her again. Also, as much as I hated her last season, I weirdly feel bad for her, considering she's one of the few characters who can actually help the North in defeating the White Walkers. And not that she is right in killing children, but it did seem like she was coming from the right, albeit very misguided direction, for lack of better words. Now, all that aside, I'm totally living for the newest badass lady in the North, Lyanna Mormont. Can't get enough of her. I can't wait to see more of her next season, and I really hope we get a reunion between her and Jorah Mormont, considering they're both family members. Now, obviously, the Northern Lords have proclaimed Jon Snow as king in the North, but I do wonder what that means for the likes of Bran Stark, especially if he ever manages to get to Winterfell in time, and of course, reveal the truth about Jon Snow's parentage, because I think that could change up quite a few things in terms of how the North is led, potentially. At least it's just food for thought. I'm also trying to still figure out Sansa. I can't imagine Peter Baelish will be so kind to her after the little stunt she pulled in supporting Jon Snow as king in the North, obviously. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen between those two characters, and I absolutely welcome any predictions any of you folks have with respect to that, in anticipation of my next predictions video for Season 7, of course, if you want to help out. I also think there were 3 very important scenes this episode that kind of mirror a new conflict building outside of that against the White Walkers. Basically, you have 3 new monarchs vying for power. We had the scene of Jon Snow being proclaimed king in the North, followed by a scene of Daenerys making Tyrion her hand of the queen, then another scene of Cersei being crowned queen of Westeros by her own hand, Qyburn, who of course is sporting the nice little pin of the hand. Given these 3 setups for made this episode, I think next season is really going to focus on their internal struggle or alliances or power dynamics, however it may go, obviously, before the White Walkers start tearing shit up. Speaking of tearing shit up, I absolutely love the comedic relief moment we got in Dorne with Olenna Tyrell really schooling the Sand Snakes. As sad as it was to see her knowing that she basically lost her entire family, I think this scene where she basically makes fun of the Sand Snakes was absolutely fan service to us fans who weren't really fans of those 3 characters in the past. That said, the internal Westerosi history buff in me absolutely loved the reference she made to an event in A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones lore where a previous Tyrell lord went to Dorne to fight the Dornish in an unsuccessful campaign. More on that in my facts video right here, shameless self-promo. Moving away from self-promo and into more fan service, I absolutely love that Arya cooked up some Frey pie just like a certain event happens in the book. Those of you who read the books will know what I'm talking about. So things are pretty much wrapped up for the Riverlands now, although I do wonder if next season, as I alluded to earlier, if we won't have a reunion between Arya and the Hound, considering they're both in that area now, and we haven't had a Clegane Bowl yet either. Speaking of hyped theories, I think the Tower of Joy scene this episode absolutely wrapped up the questions we had regarding Jon Snow's parentage. But first, I gotta say that when Uncle Benjen told Bran, "I wish you good fortune," I was totally expecting him to add on "in the wars to come." Very obvious, a sign that perhaps Arthur Dayne absolutely knew about the looming invasion of the White Walkers. Which also makes me think that Rhaegar and the other Targaryens were aware of that looming invasion as well. Now, can we just address the symbolic significance of Ned Stark laying down Arthur Dayne's sword by the bed where Lyanna Stark was giving birth as a huge cue to the Azor Ahai symbolism? You know, because the sword's name is Dawn, and it's sitting right next to the baby who might be Azor Ahai? Maybe, yes. Alright, my awkward comments aside, I think I'm going to move on to events with another awkward character in Sam at Old Town. This was also a nice comedic relief moment this episode. The most I can say about this scene is that I really hope we get some new info regarding the White Walkers, because Sam needs as much power, as much knowledge, which is power, on his side in order to fight the White Walkers who are on their way. And hopefully we'll learn something new from Old Town this coming season. The one sad part about the scene is that winter is officially here, which means we'll never again hear the infamous words "winter is coming" from the TV show Game of Thrones, which makes me a little nostalgic for the first, 5 seasons. Now on to some more serious matters. Let's talk about events at Meereen. I was totally wrong about Euron Greyjoy making it there this season. Perhaps I overplayed his role, maybe I downplayed it too much, I don't know. I have some more thoughts coming on that for my predictions video, so stay tuned for that. What really shocked me about the scene is that Daario's role wasn't as big as I actually thought it would be. Daenerys left him behind. I thought for sure maybe he'd play some kind of Sons of the Harpy type role, potentially, which of course doesn't seem to be the case, so interesting turn of events, needless to say. Now I absolutely love that they played up the Daenerys as the Mad Queen paradigm again this scene, especially when she mentioned how she didn't feel anything for Daario and leaving him behind, which is sort of meant to be a hint to us that perhaps she has no feelings, as many Targaryens out there seem to have. The fact of the matter is I don't think she actually ever felt anything for Daario in the first place. I think her real love, as far as her post-Drogo relationships can be concerned, is more or less reserved for the likes of Jorah Mormont, unfortunately for her. That's it. I think her commenting on her own lack of emotions towards leaving a lover, and Cersei's own lack of emotions in light of her son's death, are clearly meant to show that these two queens are going to be butting heads very soon, and it plays up this whole new war of two queens that will be potentially coming to our TV screens in 2017. What I absolutely loved about the scene, though, is that Dany made Tyrion her hand of the queen. But with respect to Tyrion's own story arc, I was actually surprised we didn't get any Shae this episode, because as far as I was concerned, there were some leaks revealing, or at least stating, that potentially Shae was supposed to come back this season, at least as far as some photo evidence is concerned from some set leaks way back in 2015. Regardless of all that, Dany is coming to Westeros, and she is bringing fire and blood, and I can't wait to see what transpires there, because there is no way in hell anyone will be able to stop her dragons and the Dothraki warriors coming with her now. Not even the Lannisters, I don't think. Speaking of the Lannisters, let's talk about King's Landing. I think we can safely say that Joffrey took after his mother when it comes to his lack of empathy. I was both right and wrong about the scenes at King's Landing. I was right because I knew Cersei would burn the sparrows, but I was oh so wrong because I actually thought the whole city would go up in flames. Now, I won't dwell on all of my predictions because it would take forever, but you can check out my predictions for this past episode and see what I got right and wrong if you are interested. Now, in all seriousness, who actually saw Cersei making herself Queen of Westeros this episode? If any of you actually predicted that happening, then damn, I did not see that coming, and you guys have some amazing foresight, because that was crazy. My only qualms with this is that how is Cersei ever going to manage on that throne? Basically, every single house in Westeros, or at least any of the survivors from the previous houses in Westeros, are pretty much all against her. On the bright side, at least if she goes out in style. That armor dress of hers was the bomb, and I will say, I guess she took Jaime's words about fuck fate quite literally, since she broke every possible rule of succession and made herself queen just because she said so. Honestly, folks, this episode was so freaking amazing I had to rewatch it when I got home from my sister's place. I honestly give it 9.5 out of 10. This was the perfect ending, the best ending, I gotta say, of any season of Game of Thrones thus far. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed. I will be making a predictions video, as I said 20,000 times in this video, very soon for Season 7, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, that's all for now, folks, and of course, I will see you all next time.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
I think it's safe to say that Cersei has at long last ran out of fucks to give.